You are Flameborn, last ember of hope of a dying race. Awaken, survive the terror of a corrupting fog, and reclaim the lost beauty of your kingdom. Venture into the vast world, vanquish punishing bosses, build grand halls, and forge your path. This is Enshrouded, and this is the first episode of a new series on the channel. Today I'm going to talk about my initial thoughts of the game. At the time of recording, I've played about 4 hours. Alright, let's get into it. Enshrouded is a blend of different genres, but so far it seems like it's very well done. It's got some Souls-like aspects, some Zelda-like, some Valheim-like, of course, it is a crafting survival game, and even some Terraria-like elements. Some of the Souls-like bits are the combat. Combat feels kind of Souls-like. It's skill-based with timing of attacks and defense playing a big role in your success. You can parry if you have a shield. This is also kind of Zelda-like in a way. More on that in a bit. The world is dark and kind of dystopian, and that feels very Souls-like. While playing, I even said that before I even got a taste of the combat, if I recall correctly. And it's sort of Zelda-like in that you have some tools you can get, like a grappling hook and a glider. Then you use those tools to solve some simple puzzles or to get to loot, etc. Feels very Zelda-like to me. I already mentioned that the combat is kind of Zelda-like, and I mean it's like Ocarina of Time and similar titles. You can lock onto an enemy and it changes the strafing mechanics so that you're circling the enemy instead of just going straight sideways. You have a bow that is not equipped like a normal weapon. It uses a different button, so you can have your sword equipped and also use the bow. In Enshrouded, you press Q to use your bow. That feels Zelda-like as well to me. Valheim-like, it's very Valheim-like. You consume food and drink, of course, and in Enshrouded, you have a snack. At least on the default difficulty, eating and drinking works almost just like it does in Valheim. It gives you a buff to your HP and stamina. Also, just like in Valheim, when you die, you drop your inventory. But it works kind of like dropping your souls in a Souls-like game. You don't drop your stuff right where you died, you drop it a little bit before that. So, for example, if you die to fall damage, your stuff will be at the top of the cliff and not at the bottom. I definitely don't know this from personal experience. It had to happen. It had to happen at some point. Unlike Valheim, the base building is more customizable. You can build with prefab shapes like Valheim, but you can also build with single blocks, so you can make just about anything you want. And it does have some Terraria-like elements. Terraria is also kind of a crafting survival game. It's more of a crafting game than a survival game, but anyways, in Enshrouded, you have to recruit NPCs to live with you in order to buy or craft certain things. This might sound somewhat familiar if you have played Terraria. So far, the only NPC I've run into is the blacksmith, but we already know that there are more. These NPCs will want their own room, or at least a bed. Currently, the blacksmith is living on my floor. They will wander around. I actually lost my blacksmith for a minute, but you can limit their wandering area. The game isn't just a copy of other games though. There are unique mechanics like the shroud. It's kind of like a poison gas that you can enter, but only for a short time. The shroud is covering a lot of the land, and we have to learn to live with that. Okay, what else? The axe chopping mechanic is kind of weird. You could use your axe as a weapon if you really want to, but I wouldn't recommend it. It wouldn't work very well. You just kind of chop horizontally at waist level while standing in place. You can't really move around. This does make cutting down trees a little easier, but there are other things you might want to break with the axe that are a little awkward. Anything that's low to the ground, the axe just kind of swings above it, so it's kind of difficult, but it's not that big of a deal. You can use the pickaxe for those things. That's an overhand. The axe does a sideways chop. The pickaxe does an overhead chop. Makes kind of sense. And the containers that you break for loot are generally a one hit, even to the pickaxe, even if they're wood. So it's not that big of a deal, but it is something you'll have to get used to. Overall, I'd say the experience with Enshrouded so far is very enjoyable, and I will definitely be spending a lot of time with this game, which is why I'm making this video, because there's going to be a series. Okay, if this sounds good to you, I hope you check out the playthrough. I'll be playing my first playthrough of the game offline, but if I really love it and the community wants it, I could look into hosting a game later on. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. You know what to do with the buttons down there. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. I kind of like it when space is jump outside of combat and dodge inside of combat, but I suppose you might need to be able to jump to just get out of combat. Every once in a while.